Today on the Topping Show, Vivek on the weaponization of justice against Trump. Bernie Sanders says white doctors are a problem. Minnesota new flag is more reminiscent of the one in Somalia. Dave Rubin is roasted for a joke against the fatties for Palestine. Home Depot earnings dip a little bit, indeed, to lay off 1,000 workers. And Aldi has a recall of their cream cheese. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day, guys. He's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers at the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part podcast, you have Home Depot. Their sales dip a little bit. Now, this is brought to us thanks to The Vintage, Yahoo, which, depending on your age, you may or may not remember. They used to be the original OG search engine, some might say. Now, this comes to us specifically thanks to a writer by the name of Brooke DePaula. And they note that, quote, Home Depot earnings show signs of consumer pullback. Now, getting down to analytics, they note that the home improvement retailer posted a revenue of $36.42 billion compared to $36.33 billion expected by Wall Street. That's a 2.3% drop year over year. The company posted a revenue of $37.26 billion a year ago. Adjusted earnings per share came in higher than expected at $3.63 per share compared to $3.60. They know that consumers visit the stores less frequently and spent less than when they went. Lower foot traffic and smaller ticket sizes, down 1% and 1.3% respectively, contributed to a fall of in-store sales, down 2.8%. Now, granted, I know it's cliche to say, but a lot of people say e-commerce is the future, and yeah, for many industries, it's absolutely dominating. I mean, there are only a couple industries Amazon has not completely dominated in terms of product category. Seemingly, the only one I can think of is firearms. That's just because Amazon is anti-gun. That being said, they do allow some accessories, but pretty much every other category of product you can buy on giant e-commerce platforms like Amazon and Walmart.com. And Home Depot, yeah, they absolutely have an e-commerce. I think I used it once or twice throughout the years. But when it comes to those types of stores, a lot of their things come from mom and pops trying to fix up their home. You have local contractors where, again, you want foot traffic because more foot traffic, the more likely someone's going to just have those spontaneous purchases and they're going to spend more than just buying online. Now, looking at the little fun little infographic, they say Home Depot, Lowe's see visits slow down so far this year. Year over year percent change in monthly visits. In orange, if you're appropriately enough, it's in the Home Depot orange. Then they have the Lowe's blue. And it looks like December 2023, it was down 3.1% Home Depot, 6.4% at Lowe's. January 2024, it was down 4.2% Home Depot and 8.5% at Lowe's. Then going into February 2024 is down negative 0.3% Home Depot, 2.8% Lowe's. Then you had a little quick dip, March 2024, you had 1% increase Home Depot, negative 1.1% Lowe's. Then finally, you have April 2024, you have Home Depot down 2.4%, and Lowe's finally increased. They finally went up by 0.2%, which, again, when it comes to Lowe's, I always wondered, what's the compelling reason for me to shop there? Now, historically speaking, they have different demographics. When you look at who shops at Home Depot, usually they're men or contractors in the industry. And Home Depot more often caters to women and more of nice ways doing like kitchen repair for like smaller projects that are, I don't say more rudimentary, but not as commercial grade. And that's really care to. That's probably why I've never seen a Lowe's commercial in my life now that I think about it. And oddly enough, even though I have one close to me, like many people statistically do in the US, more often than not, I choose to go to Home Depot just because, well, yeah, they just have everything I need and more commercial grade products. So that's not a good chart, especially if you're an investor there. Because again, foot traffic is key. Now, a couple of comments, they say head of merchandising Bill Bastique said, quote, these building materials and power and departments posted growth in outdoor paint, lumber, plumbing, and hardware sales were above the company average for year-over-year growth. However, the company did see a drop in bigger DIY projects, where consumers typically used financing to fund the project, such as kitchen and bath remodel, which is key because financing is usually extremely lucrative, except with the exception of when you're financing like a Dodge Charger or a Challenger, where the rate of repo is pretty darn high. They'll probably lose money on many of those instances. But in most instances, financing divisions of businesses is one of the most lucrative parts. So the fact that they're not only are they decreasing the amount of materials they're buying from the Home Depot, but they're not even using the finance division of the company, that's especially bad news. Decker also noted that highest interest rates have been impacting demand, pointing out to kitchen cabinets and countertops as the only category where there's no significant fallout. Prior to the report, investors were expecting poor results with pandemic-era growth in the rearview mirror. I have one. Let me see if there's any more statistics in this article here. I got a couple comments, and shoot, comments are half the fun in life, which is a friendly reminder to go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and do all those fun things to make the show a little more interesting. Although, depending on my work schedule, it might take me a little while to get to your comments. I always do my best to reply to them in good time. One of the first comments comes from Wade saying, quote, "If customers could find someone to help them, the Home Depot sales would increase, but then corporate officers would have to cut their bloated salaries." Getting 6 likes and 1 downlike, which is only moderately mentally vacuous in terms of executive pay having any impact on lower worker pays. I did a whole analysis when everyone was griping about it was a big deal with the UAW versus General Motors, Ford, as well as Chrysler, now Stellantis. And a lot of people are saying these CEOs are so overpriced, they're so overpaid, when no, they're paid exactly what the shareholders agree to. If you don't like it, you can vote differently if you actually buy part of the company and you're, have a vested interest in the company. I actually calculated out, I believe Mary Barra, she already made nothing, which is illegal in the United States. Well, every worker would get about what was it, $275 more before the government steals half of it with income tax. And again, I know to me, there are some times of the year where that adds a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a couple of tanks of gas can mean all the difference. But in the grand scheme of things, no, executive pay really doesn't have much impact when you do the adding up the savings in the aggregate. But when it comes to helping people at Home Depot, that is a little heartbreaking. I read, it eludes me at the moment, but it's on my shelf over to the left. Built from Scratch by Bernie, so the co-founders of Home Depot. And yeah, it is. I read that it kind of did a retail spree last year where I read pretty much every book I could get on retail, from Target to Starbucks to Home Depot to Walmart. ADHD comment here. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do like a book review. I usually read one book a month, typically business or philosophical or political based. But I mean, reading the book about Home Depot, the whole company was built upon the grounds of having the employees being Johnny on the spot, as Grandpa would say. And as soon as you walked in the store, they came to you and they said, "Hey, how can we help you with your project? What we can do? What we can do to help you out?" And granted, these days I'm kind of more reminiscent of Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation when he goes to the home improvement store, and someone in that case, fictional show of course, comes up to him immediately, tries to help out. He goes, let's see how we do Ron Swanson intimidating his not his vernacular, but rather his accent. Let's see here. "I know more than you, son." It's probably the worst. It might be the second worst impression of Ron Swanson. Or not. Yeah, from Parks and Rec. Let me know in the comments. But I mean, in my case, I've been building stuff for quite a years. I mean, I built, not to brag, but I built this table with my buddy, and 100% made in the USA. Good old 150-year-old antique barn one with a little epoxy on top, and yeah, it's a fun little project. And when I probably went to the Home Depot store a couple times, and I mean, the only time we needed help is when we needed to actually locate something on a shelf, which actually all I did was download the app, and that did help. When sometimes the apps don't work great. But again, when it comes to product knowledge, that's a little disappointing to see the drop in quality control. I don't know if that's because, again, you also have different demographics in terms of when you're recruiting people and you're hiring people. You're, in some cases, you could argue that the youth aren't Johnny as a spot. In some cases, that might be the case. But I mean, there's sometimes where I was walking down Home Depot aisle, there's 3 of those guys, just 3 employees just sitting around chatting with each other. And spoiler, I overheard a little of their conversation. They weren't talking about inventory allocation or moving materials around the store. So it can be definitely a little frustrating. And I don't think that's the main reason people are stopping shopping there, because also, unfortunately, that's many retailers. I think Lowe's is probably about the same. I'm embarrassed to say, I think I've been to Lowe's maybe once or twice past couple years. I went once just for the novelty of seeing Craftsman Tools, which they have an exclusivity contract to carry that brand in the store, which, rest in peace, Sears, that was one of their strongest intellectual properties that they owned. Another comment by the name of Let Me Tell You Something says, "Wood costing 3 times as much and everything else, thanks to Joe B. I could see this trend coming." Getting 13 likes and 7 downlikes. which, yeah, inflation is pretty much hurting everyone, especially people of middle and lower income. It's, yeah, definitely another reason people are starting to pull back on spending on stuff they don't really need. Because at the end of the day, yes, it would be nice to get, new countertops, which some people do. In terms of like home renovation, unless you have water, leaking through the ceiling, or there's a door that's knocked off their hinges, more often than not, you really don't need it. Now, Super Dave also says, in effect, consumers can no longer use their house as a piggy bank to supplement their lifestyle. Unquote, getting 4 likes and no down likes. Let's see here. So, yeah, pretty much the same in terms of commentary. And it will be interesting to see what's the future of Home Depot. I mean, long term, I think it's also one of the most durable businesses out there. Again, not financial advice. They also just bought out SRS Distribution, headquartered out in McKinney, Texas, which is much more in the logistics and distribution of materials for contractors and job sites. So I think that'll be a good supplement to their business model in the future. And I mean, eventually, housing is in demand in the U.S. more and more. I think Home Depot should keep going after those contracts and those relationships so they can be more of the supplier of some of those new homes. Because again, a lot of people are griping that houses cost too much. Well, they are exceedingly expensive. Absolutely. I wish I can. One of these days, I hope to own one. I'm currently in a rental at the moment, and there's a huge amount of demand, not a lot of supply. And I mean, in theory, you'll have the supply catch up with the demand. You're going to build a lot of houses to do so. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know when's the last time you shopped at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, and do you have a preference? And if you do, why or why not? Thank you, and as always, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.